I have one suggestion for action, and that is, I meant to mention this earlier, that we usually, when we do these events, we serve food and refreshment so people can be refreshed. We didn't do that today, but for the 60 people or so who remain and the others who attended, Noah's going to make this offer to give you a little bit of lunch, if not today, then during the next week. So you can go to one of three places. You can go to Americano and get your cup of coffee or latte like I did before you start. David knows you're coming and he'll put it on a list. You can go to Meridian Market and say, I'm from the Resilience Assembly, and Phil said I could come down here and get a sandwich. So you can do that in the next week. And if you prefer Hacienda, which some of us do, maybe you can go to both places. We'll have to check. Anyway, we'll send you to Hacienda. You go to talk to Jose or family, get a list and get a pupusa or anything you want for lunch too. So we'll hold that out for you or anybody else who wants it. So you can't have your lunch today on us, but you can during the course of the next week. We're not going to see you order your Thanksgiving dinner from Meridian Market, but you can get a cup of coffee, a donut, or whatever you want from these great food establishments. And I think it does come back to, you know, these are people we know. We know them pretty well, actually. And I think they're part of our network. We did hear somebody say small business earlier. I don't know. I don't think Gladys or Jim Kearney from Gladys from Main Streets or Jim were on today, but we do talk with them frequently about sharing resources and being part of the neighborhood and part of the network. I'm more in touch with Jim on sort of the greenscape, the hardscape stuff going on in we want to have happen in Central Square, or prevent what we saw from potentially happening in Maverick Square. Gladys, I know, does her own food work network, does a lot of active work with the neighborhood as well. So these are very active people in the community, which I think with East Boston is already blessed. Opportunities for action. Some of the things we were talking about are, how do we continue to educate people about the resources that exist? Certainly most people know, I think, about the quality and the reach of the health center, but maybe there are some who don't, but we want to keep the health center in the center of our preparedness universe here. I think we want to continue to how to work together. I do know that, you know, when Alexis showed that distribution map, which would look like the Milky Way, actually, in another way, Alexis, you know, that's we are connected. We know a lot of people. I think languages in the old days, as Robert Schmidt will remember, you knew one family, you knew 50 people, 60 people, 80 people. It went that way. Now there are different levels because there are cultures and languages and whatnot. So we know each other, but we don't know each other as well as we might. So we want to continue to build cohesion, social capital, build leaders. And we want everybody, I think, to become, as much as they can, a leader of how do they organize themselves. I think David has a term for it. I'll let him try to explain it later when we picked it up. We want to talk about, maybe, is there a resilience network, frankly, that we should be developing in the neighborhood? And I do think we've done some great work. And I think, as Sandra and I think Rita's on notes, that where there's been a fabulous response built from the ground up after the pandemic, and there's food insecurity, which is going to remain. I think we want to talk about in the next couple of weeks how we have a food summit in the neighborhood that might build into resilience. So is there a resilience network that we want to connect? We know now, and we have more contact with Chiron and OEM. We know Nancy, if she were still here, I can just feel her embrace. She's fabulous. She makes you feel better when you get near her because she's always there for you. So Nancy, Public Health Commission, OEM, those are networks that are going to, when the disaster comes, and we know it isn't going to happen just like that, we're going to get some notice something is coming. How do we connect these entities so that we're all a part of this? And one of the things we're hearing, how do we get information out to our network so they can prepare? If they don't have their documents ready, get them ready. If you don't have your flashlight ready, Sandra's going to go give it to you. You know what I mean? If you don't know what's going on at Maverick Landing, Bob's going to go knock on your door and tell you what's happening, I think. Right, guys? So those kind of things we need to build in with each other in the neighborhood. They're already great. I feel very proud the neighborhood has picked up since the pandemic with the food response, but things are going to get worse again for a couple of months till we tackle this, and wear your mask again. So once you leave here, Michael, put your mask on, give us a good example. And we have our own. We may have a few left if you want to know one. Anyway, working together, preparedness, learning more about, you know, nature, climate change, all the threats that are coming our way. Again, now that science is back in the White House shortly, a couple of months, I'm counting the days, maybe it's 70, you know, we'll learn more about what actually happens. We'll be able to work with, you'll get more resources. I think more might be coming from Washington down to the state, down to the health centers and others, without being too political about it. But I think we want to teach people more about science and what can happen here. I want to thank Paul again for getting his team together to share that rather dramatic video. Not that we want to see that happen. We never want to see that happen. But things could happen, as we said. So again, I just want to say, I think that their possible next step is what kind of resilience network could we build? I could have a couple of things in mind or a couple of people or groups. It doesn't have to be at NOAA. Like I've said in the ads, we're not looking to sort of save the neighborhood. We can't do that. We're one part of the neighborhood. We have our role. We know what that is. We want to work on infrastructure. We want to tell people what's going on. We want to work on resiliency personally and as a community and knit people together. So that's our role. We would help seed fund some of that kind of stuff. And happy to work with some of the existing networks like the Social Center, the Health Center, and others, and the Food Security Network that's already doing this kind of thing. So I think we have a basis that I'm very proud of for being East Boston, have learned a lot, we'll continue to learn a lot. We know a lot of people, we're connected in lots of ways already. I think we can tighten it up a little bit more in terms of COVID coming. Michael and Jackie on here, I think you guys have done a really good job informing the neighborhood. I know there's a network. Maybe we enlarge that network somehow so that we all get the information out and support each other during these next, what you know, the words are a very dark winter ahead. Anyway, we want to make it as palatable as possible. It's not going to be easy. So those are the kind of things I'm thinking about. The Resilience Network, informing people, being bilingual, bicultural about it. I think we have a network that reaches out. More could always be done, of course, that kind of thing. But I think we're all moving in the right direction on some of these things. A little bit to tighten up. We know each other well. No reason why we shouldn't have a high level of trust and move things forward. Those are some of my comments and observations. David, I'll turn it back to you.